Hello everybody, welcome to Cheap Comic Collector number 33. Today we're going to be doing another in the What Am I Reading series. These are the 4 books that I've just read the last couple days. First up we got X-Men 95, which is the annual for the year. They stopped calling them annuals at that point. It's got a wraparound cover. Kind of typical 90s artwork. Not all that impressed by the cover, really. Instead of floating heads, we've got floating bodies, and that's about all there is to it. The story, the artwork is fine. Credits are down here. We got J.M. DeMatteis, Ralph Macchio on story, Terry Dodson, John Paul Leon on pencils, John Holdridge and Sean Martinborough on inks. So everybody teamed up with somebody else on this issue. Nice beast there. And the issue, and the storyline deals with Jean Grey. Nicely drawn Jean Grey here. Gets kidnapped, and the beast goes to her rescue. And it's this guy that kidnaps her. I think it's Genesis is his name. And it's some plot to do something to discredit Mr. Sinister or destroy him somehow. Not all that great of a story. The best parts are these flashbacks to Mr. Sinister's past. Reveals some about him. And yeah, it's an okay story, but nothing great, nothing fantastic. Just, it was a little bit interesting because of the Mr. Sinister flashbacks. And then towards the back, there's another story, which is a bit of an odd take also. This one here is by Scott Lobdell and Matt Idelson on story, Raymond Bernardo on pencils, and P. Craig Russell on inks. Again, you know, the art is adequate, kind of typical 90s artwork. I did find the panel layouts interesting because we're using panels, but you don't have any edges on the pages for the most part. They're so I found that interesting because a lot of the modern comics now, yeah, there really aren't panels, so to speak. It's pretty much like this. This must have been about back when this kind of page style started. The storyline is and this is Captain Britain, by the way, in case you didn't recognize him, because I sure didn't know who it was. And he gets a letter from his sister, Betsy Braddock. She tells him about her relationship with the Angel, Warren Worthington III, who is the Archangel at this point. And it's a lot of dialogue about touchy-feely relationship stuff. And that's about it. So yeah, an okay issue. Nothing spectacular, especially for an annual. Next up, we got X-Men Gold, number 3. Nice cover. Not too bad. The writer was Mark Guggenheim. Pencils by Adrian Siaf. Inkers Craig Young and Jay Layston. I'm probably murdering all these names every time I get anywhere with these names. I apologize. I'm not good at names. Artwork was fine. The story was fine. It is obviously a continued story, but it was easy to jump into, even though I wasn't familiar with all the characters. There's some new characters in here, and that were new at the time, and they're new to me, so I don't really know who they all are. But Kitty Pryde's leading the X-Men, and it's an interesting take on her. I got a advertisement fold out here in the middle that advertises different books from the time. And artwork was good, story was good. It was interesting seeing Kitty Pryde matured into basically a badass leader of the X-Men. So, very cool. Very, very, very good issue. It was fun, and it was easy to jump into, even though, yeah, it was part of a continuing storyline. Next up, Extreme X-Men number 18. Cover's okay. Wasn't sure if that was Jean Grey or not. It is, I think. And it starts off with Trish Tilby. Apparently it's coming off of some crossover with the Avengers, because the Avengers are bringing the X-Men into a MASH unit for, because basically a lot of them are dying. Rogue's in bad shape. She doesn't have her powers. Storm's dying. Gambit's dying. Doesn't want to come back from the spirit world. Jean Grey shows up to try and convince him to stay and not leave. And it was good. It was easy to follow. It was well written. It's written by Chris Claremont, so it was fun to read an X-Men story by him again. So I'm looking forward to reading this series in full eventually. I'm not sure where there we go. Chris Claremont and art by Salvador LaRocca. So, nobody writes the X-Men quite as well as Chris Claremont does. That's just all there is to it. And I don't think anyone ever will, because nobody quite gets them the way he did. And so, the characterization in the issue is spot on. Everything's spot on. And the coloring is weird like this because they're in the spirit realm. That's why it's kind of faded coloring on some of the pages. And it was a good issue. It was fun. It was good, solid issue. And then lastly, we have Yosemite Sam. This is number 23 from 1974. We got don't know who does any of this story or art, because they didn't credit them back then. That's one mean fish that Sam's got on his hook, and this issue was previously owned by somebody named Carla Owens, so thank you, Carla, for not ripping up your comic book so that I could enjoy it all these years later. And the first story was pretty good. It's a nice, solid story. The artwork's pretty good on it. Bugs Bunny looks a little bit odd here, but it was good. I think this is an all-original issue. It's only got a 1974 copyright on it, so I don't think there were any reprints in it. But, Sam's courting this lady in black here, and he's got a rival, and Bugs Bunny decides to help him. And it was pretty good. It's a nice, solid story. It's funny, and it's got a nice little ending. The other stories weren't quite as strong. They're kind of typical Looney Tunes craziness, which is great for the cartoons. Doesn't always work on the comic book page because it's more of a story format. But they were good. I enjoyed the issue. You probably noticed Elmer Fudd showed up in the last story. This story's got Daffy Duck. And there's the quote that I used in the title of this video. What's all this about you, web-footed feather duster? And it was an okay story. And then we've got a one-page gag that is pretty lame. And then we have another Daffy Duck, Yosemite Sam teaming up with Daffy Duck to run a business, which doesn't work. And that was pretty much it. But it was a fun issue. I enjoyed that one of probably the most of the 4 comics. The Extreme X-Men being the best of the 3 X-Men comics. But the kids comics, just there's something about them that bring you back. They're a nice, simple story and fun to read and bring a smile to your face. So that's it for this episode. See you next time. Thanks for watching.